Hi there and welcome to MiWeek. We are so glad that you're joining us. I'm Christy McDonald. Big week this week. We are taking a look at the governor's race. What are the biggest issues voters are considering? We'll talk about it coming up. Plus, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan trying to convince City Council to accept the water deal. And how close are we to the end of the bankruptcy process? And finally, criminal charges in Wayne County, and it is all surrounding the failed jail. That is what's coming up for you on MiWeek. And we will start with a look at the race for governor. Joining me now are MiWeek contributors Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press, and as you can tell, they are not relaxing in lounge chairs this week. We have a new set. What do you think? No, you don't look excited about it.
I am. It's a big boy set. I like it.
It's very
This looks
exciting.
like a pool to me. Like we could all just dive in.
We can all dive in, but the one thing that we're going to be missing from now on, Stephen, is the view of your socks.
Yeah, well,
that we
no,
actually saw
they can
every
see.
week.
They can see.
From the oh my gosh, I do see the
see.
green down there.
That's not all we're going to be.
Is that all we're going to be missing? Nolan always complained that he felt like he was sitting in the middle and that he was just swiveling back and forth.
We're not going to be able to see your shoes either.
Or my shoes. See, there you go. See, there you go. You win some, you lose some. All right.
Unless Steve wears them.
Wow. That would be a different show.
I was just going to say an entirely different reality show. All right. So speaking about you win some, you lose some, and races that are getting tight, let's talk about the governor's race and the fact that people are really now starting to focus on this. We know we've seen the polls that show it very tight, but I want to talk about mostly what are the most important issues that I think voters are considering now. What are people talking about, Stephen?
Well, people are still talking about the economy, and that was what Rick Snyder made the centerpiece of his campaign 4 years ago. That's why he won. He seemed to have a stronger, better view of how to manage the economy out of the slump it was in than Verge Bernero did. I think now people are asking, did he do enough? Are we far enough out of that slump, or could somebody else take us there faster? I still think that is the central issue, and I still think this campaign is really about Rick Snyder. It is a referendum on these first 4 years, not just the economy, but strongly that, but also some of the other things he's done that people have really not liked.
So is it basically the classic, Nolan, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Well, and of course the answer to that is yes, but I don't think that's what this campaign is all about. I don't even think it's about the economic issues you're talking about. I think it's about the perceptions of Rick Snyder. And he's allowed himself, he's allowed Mark Schauer to paint the impressions of him, to define him. The governor's response to the Schauer attack ads have been weak. His entire campaign has been sort of disjointed, not aggressive enough, not strong enough. The governor needs to stand out and say, here's where you were 4 years ago, here's where you are today, and here's where we're going. And that other guy, he'd take you back to where you were. And he's failed to do that effectively. His campaign ads have been as bad as any of I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This race should not be this close. An incumbent governor in a rising economy has never faced this sort of struggle getting reelected.
Well, and I think, again, you can look at some of the reasons that's happening. One is the pension tax, which, you know, at the Free Press, we supported the pension tax. We think that's as tax policy, it's good to broaden the base, make sure that everybody is paying their fair share. It's wildly unpopular, though, especially among seniors who are paying it. He's paying a price for that. He's also paying a price for right to work. People remember that from 2 years. It hasn't had much of an effect.
Shows that right to work is not.
It's not the only thing. But I think if you put all these things together,
hang on, let Stephen finish.
I think if you put all these things together, right to work, the caving he's done on abortion issues, the campaign finance stuff, if you put it all together, it sticks really well to him as a guy who, A, didn't deliver as much as he said he was going to deliver, but B, has done some really politically obnoxious things.
It sticks primarily because he's letting Schauer tell the story. He's not stand up and say, this is why we did this and how it's worked. Right. Here's how you're going to be better off. Even this whole education spending cut nonsense, he's allowed that to basically go unaddressed in his own ads.
That's a really hard thing to explain.
But he's got an obligation to do it. He's also got to talk about how his paying down the pension debts of these local school districts is a huge benefit to the future. He keeps allowing himself to be defined by Mike Schauer's advertising.
Let me ask you this. Will his going into Detroit and the whole bankruptcy process, does that reflect negatively on him?
Well, it depends on who you ask, right? I mean, the problem with that is one of the problems he has with a lot of things, which is that it's a really complicated issue. It doesn't boil down to very nice sound bites, and it plays differently depending on who you're talking to. Outstate, I'm not sure people are as impressed that he did this and spent a lot of money, a lot of outstate money in Detroit doing it through the grand bargain. I'm not sure that's something he
But
wants to be
didn't we see polls that people supported the grand bargain, and now you see the state legislators, they were all in on it.
I think they do, but I don't think it moves the needle for him. And one of the interesting things about this campaign, if you look at the governor's numbers in January and the governor's numbers now, they have not moved a bit. All of the money that has been spent by his campaign on these ads, on all of the things he's done, he has not changed a bit. The only movement in the race has been Mark Schauer, who started out with almost no name recognition and very little support, and has moved to within the margin of error. I think for the governor, that is the really scary thing,
Steve,
is that trend.
He still has relatively low name
Absolutely.
recognition at this, which again brings us back to this is all about the governor. One thing that has moved since the Detroit bankruptcy is the governor's job approval ratings. He took a surge. It's up quite a bit. He took a
Still not over
surge
50.
after the Detroit. No, he's at 52 in our last poll. So if his job approval ratings surged, but it didn't move the voter support for him, which his job approval is still much higher than, okay, I'm going to vote for him, which almost never happens. And it does again tell you he's not telling his story.
Okay, well, if we're talking about messaging and the fact that the governor then has to get out the word and everything that he has done from his vantage point. Now he's talked about he's going to do a series of town halls going around the state. Is that the solution for him?
No, I mean, I don't think that makes that much of a difference. He would say these are, extemporaneous chances for him to get chatty with voters, but they come across as stilted and scripted. He needs to do a debate. We've been saying that for a long time with his opponent, where I think he could carve out that contrast and show that, look, here's what I did, here's why I did it, and tell us what you're going to do. That's the whole purpose of debates. And so far, we're not quite there
He should be
yet.
chomping at the bit to debate. I mean, he's a governor with an accomplished record. He's got a plan. He's passed things. He's got an agenda going forward. And he'd be standing next to a guy who's known only to voters by his campaign ads, in which he looks pretty good, but he's got no flesh behind the skeleton of his plans. And he's got no real answers when you answer the question, what would you do differently?
So why the hesitancy then?
Well, the hesitancy
From the governor's campaign, or why haven't we seen something?
I think it's mystifying. This campaign has not. I haven't been impressed
I'm not sure
with
Schauer's
either.
all that eager to debate either, by the way.
Well, I mean, I think
There's been a lot of posturing.
My communication with the Schauer folks has indicated that they are willing to go and debate anywhere at any time if the schedule.
Club debate.
But that's not a debate.
It's a traditional forum. Candidates
They'll
always show up to it.
They'll show up for that, but that's not a debate. I mean, I think it's sort of a red herring to say, well, they haven't agreed to that. That's not what we need. What we need is, both of them on stage at the same time answering questions together.
All right.